few months ago, I made a video about how I use CloudPano to deliver virtual tours. And this was back in March, I believe. And since then, CloudPano has put out so many new features that I thought it was time to make a new video on some of these updates. Now, a few things ahead of time. One, I'm not an expert on 360 tours. A lot of you have asked me a lot of questions. I'm not an expert. You're going to want to check out Ben Claremont if you have any questions, and maybe search Rich Baum. Those guys have a lot more answers to questions than I do. I'll tell you ahead of time, a lot of the questions I got was, what camera do I use? It's the Ricoh Theta Z1. So note that. A couple other questions I got were, how do I sell virtual tours? There is a link to a video that'll pop up right here in the corner. You can check that out. Otherwise, for the most part, I'm going to answer some of the questions that were asked in the last video and also show you all the new features. If you find this video valuable and you want to check out CloudPano, be sure to use the links down below in the description. I'm also going to include a link to a couple of 360 images that you can download and test out with CloudPano. You can do a free listing. This is for those of you who don't have maybe your own 360 camera yet and you're just looking to explore this. You can download these images, check out CloudPano, and use those images if you'd like, just to toy around with it. One last thing before I get started, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. It would help me out. And yeah, all that said, let's go ahead and dive in. So I'm not going to go into depth with this. When you go to the CloudPano website for the first time, this is what you get. They explain everything you need to know about it. You can check out the different sections they have in there, learn about the teams. I'm going to go right down all the way to the pricing just to talk about this really quick. So there's 3 different tiers of pricing. There's free, pro, and pro plus. There's also the option to purchase a lifetime membership, which is what I have and which is what I would encourage all of you to do. The lifetime membership, the reason I would suggest doing that, I literally made all my money back before I even bought the lifetime membership. I made all my money back. The way I even got into 360 in the first place was there was an apartment complex that was looking for Matterport. I didn't have a Matterport camera. I was like, I can do these virtual tours. I heard CloudPano's episode on shooting spaces, and I looked really quick to see what the pricing was. I saw the lifetime option. I was like, yeah, I can sell this tour for like $1,300 and buy the lifetime option and save money in the long run. And since then, having the lifetime membership, you don't need to pay for anymore. So I literally paid for my membership before I even started doing 360 tours. It worked out really well for me. I'm not saying that's the case with everybody, but just something to consider. It's definitely worth a lifetime membership. Again, use the link in the description if you find this valuable. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's pretend you've got the account set up now. We're gonna go ahead and sign in. And the first thing you'll see is this let's get started. We're not going to do that just yet though, because I want to show you the dashboard before we go any further. If you go to the dashboard, it's going to bring you to all the tours that you have created up to this point. Okay, you can search by tours, you can sort by date, by title. Now over here are just a couple links that I'll just cover really quick. If you have a team, like if you have another person that works on these with you and they have a CloudPano subscription, you guys can work on or collaborate on these together, go in and make changes. You can play with demo tours. These are tours that people have specifically done something unique in. And let's say, so here's a boat, for example. If you have a client that comes to you who wants to do a boat and you don't have any demos of a boat, you can share this with them. And you can also clone these, meaning you can take this exact tour, clone it, apply it to your account, and make any changes you need to or customizations. A lot of the work is already done for you. It's a really nice feature and one I never would have thought of. Another option is the browse the CloudPano community. This is basically when you create a virtual tour, you have the option to make it publicly available for the CloudPano community to view, and it will show up in this page. There's helps and frequently asked questions. I gotta be honest, I've never once had to go into the help and frequently asked questions section, because CloudPano is incredibly intuitive and there's an incredible support community on Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, you can click on the join the community link right here. It will bring you to their Facebook page. There's new content every day. Zach, the co-founder, is constantly putting out educational resources. You can find those on the Facebook group. Also, they're all linked right here on the tips and tricks section, and he puts webinar links here from time to time as well. That said, we're pretty much ready to get started on creating a tour. So you can just click create a tour. It's going to bring you back to this initial page that we started at. just going to call this 123 Sesame Street because it's fun and I don't care if it's spelled wrong. And hit next, and I'm going to go ahead and select the photos. I'm just going to pull them right out of my Dropbox here. And I'm not going to upload a lot of them. We're just going to do 5 for now, okay? Nice thing about CloudPano, and this is the newer feature, they are available immediately. You don't have to wait for them to all upload before you get started. So you can just go ahead and get started, and it will process and upload everything in the background, but you can go ahead and get started. Now, all of your images are going to show up right here. They are listed by name. I number mine, and once I do that, I can sort by title, and I can go ahead and just quickly edit the name. So we're going to do that first. That's the first thing I do in my workflow. We'll do front yard 1. This one we'll call it front yard 2. Whoops. And I'm kind of speeding through this because I don't want to take all your day watching this video. So we're going to, I might have some typos. We're not really worried about that. I'm actually going to go ahead and add a couple more images. Now, let's just say you missed an image and you want to add more images. You can hit add images. And we're going to do 6 through 10. We'll just add those. I'm not going to rename all of these though. Actually, yeah, I will. I'll call this office. We'll call this dining room. This was, I believe, the kitchen. Let me see. Oh, this is the master bedroom. Master. We'll delete this one, and we'll delete this one as well because we really don't need those right now. So you can go ahead and you can sort things. So I know that the office was down here. It's going to be after the living room. And then the dining room was after the office. So let's go ahead and, oops. Yeah, it's really easy to sort through these things, and then the master was after the dining room. It was a really strange layout. Okay. So we got all of our images in there just for pretend. Again, there's a lot more that I can add. So now we're going to go through and we're going to start adding our customizations. Now, you can kind of get a nice preview of what it's going to look like right here. But what you do is you have these options down here. You can add an info spot, link a hotspot, set initial view, and preview. First thing I do is I set the initial view. What do I want people to see when they first come to this listing? I'm actually going to have the initial view right here so they know what the house is right there. We're going to set initial view. We're going to add a hotspot, so we're going to link a hotspot. And I know I shot it from right over here, so I simply just click here and select the image that I want to link to. So it was front yard 2. And it gives me a little icon. This is the default icon. You can change this, and I'll show you how to do that later. But let's just say I want to change this to, you can change it to a custom icon that you've made. I've made a couple of these. These are floor icons, and I have a small, medium, and large size. That way, if I have one that's off in the distance, I can use a small one, closer, etc. So I'm just going to choose the medium size one for now. Use this image, and it's going to add that for me right there. So it kind of just puts right on the ground there. And I know I have another hotspot over here, so I'm just going to do link hotspot. Click on the front porch here. I put front yard. Actually, I forgot to change the image, so we'll do that. We're going to choose the small one because it's off in the distance. And you can see this kind of creates some depth. And I also have a large one that I could put right here if I wanted to. But I like the idea of it showing depth, and I'll show you what that looks like. You can hit preview, and this is what you're dealing with when you first come to the tour. Okay, and this is what the client's going to see as well. All right, so click on the front yard 2. It's going to bring me there. And as you can see, it's really nice and smooth. You can also add info spots. So if you click on add info spots, it's the same principle as a hotspot, but this is where you can add links or different information. And I'll kind of walk you through these right now. So let's go ahead and put one right here. And you have different options. You have hyperlinks, short text, images, extended description, HTML pop-up. all the information you can customize is basically right here. So if you want to like sell this truck or something like that, let's say you're doing a virtual tour for a car dealership, you can put a preview text here. So let's see, buy this truck, and put the hyperlink to that truck's listing right there, and it will pop up. They can click on it. You can do short text if you just want to do, this is a white truck. We'll save it. And as you can see, it's just going to pop up an info spot. This is a white truck. Not going to keep that, obviously. We'll delete that. You can add an image there. If you took some interior images and you wanted to put those in there, you can do that here. Extended description. This is a cool little box that'll pop up. White truck information that I want to demo. I know my typing is horrible right now. So you hover over that, it gives you a little info box. You can also customize the icons here. You can customize the images just like I showed you before. And you can also do HTML pop-ups. So if you want to embed a YouTube video right here, you can do that as well. And that's it for info spots. Now, the next thing is switching the views. So if you want to go, or setting the initial views. So I'm going to go to this front yard 2 option. Actually, I'm going to go to this front yard, and it should say front porch. Let's just go ahead and change that. And I'm on the front porch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some hotspots here. So I'm going to link the info spot, or link the hotspot. Right here, this was front yard 2. I keep on forgetting to change the icon. We'll use this image. And I'll go ahead and also add the first one, which was over here somewhere. First, let's change the image because I keep on forgetting to do that. Okay, so now we've got all this stuff set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the initial view to be right here. Now I'm going to go back to the second hotspot. Now this is the initial view for this hotspot, right? However, you can change where you want the initial view to show up based on where they're coming from. So this is the initial view by default. But let's say if I want the initial view to be this spot from, okay, so let's just say I'm starting from here. And then I click on here. Whoops, let me go to the preview. Okay, so I'm at my preview here. If I click on this front yard 2 hotspot, my initial view is going to be this pond view right here, right? Now if I click over to the front porch here, which I didn't link yet, so I'll do that later, this is my initial view. Now, if I go back to this front yard 2, it's still showing this as the default position, right? The initial view. I can change that to where if I'm coming from the front porch will then be the initial view, and I'll show you how to do that. So we'll click on front yard 2. I'm going to scroll over here and face the front porch. And I forgot to link the hotspot, so we'll do that really quick. I'm just going to use this for the sake of time. And I'm going to set the initial view. If you click on this little button here, there's this little icon here. You can select which direction you want to if you're coming from a certain area. So follow directions. It basically just says face this direction when coming from either the front yard or the porch. Wherever I have a hotspot linked, I can set it here. So I want to be, since I'm facing the house, I want to be facing the porch when I'm coming from the porch. And when I'm coming from the lake or the pond, I want to be facing the pond. So that way I'll go ahead and swing around here and face the pond. Set on this face this direction when coming from there. Okay, so what's this look like in reality? We're going to start here on my first image. Go here, and what should happen is I should be facing the pond when I click on this. And if I go to the porch and click back on this, it should be facing the porch. See how that works? So that's a really nice feature that I didn't cover last time, but it's really helpful, especially if you just want to be a little more accurate or give a better flow for the client. But you guys, more or less, that is pretty much all you need to know about the workflow. It's really nice. And one last thing I forgot to show you is if you want to swap out an image, let's say you added an edit to one of them and you wanted to swap it out, you just click on this little arrow here, select the image that you want, upload it. It's going to replace that and keep all the hotspots. So you don't need to recreate all that. It's really nice. All right, so that is pretty much it for setting up all the images. The next thing I'm going to do is walk you through these other options that you can customize your tour with. So first thing is first, on this edit tour section, you can add the contact name, number, and email. If it's an agent or if it's a business, you can add that information right there. You can add more images, as we already talked about. You can sort images by all this stuff. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, pretty basic. Brand kit, you can upload your logo, or you can upload the company's logo that you're working with. You can set your default hotspot style. You can choose different themes. This is also a new feature that came out just recently with CloudPano. Right now, this is the classic theme you're viewing. If we go to modern, just a little more slick look, I guess. I really like it, the black. The next thing is this flow, which is more of a rounded thumbnail delivery. I really like this one as well. And then the other new one is the cascade, which has all of the images to the left. So that's a really nice feature as well. I'm just going to stick with classic for the time being because that's what I'm used to. You can set up a white labeled URL, so you can create a subdomain. I've created one for my website. That way, if you enter your subdomain in there or any other one that you've created, you can have a customized URL experience for each tour. So if I'm doing a commercial shoot, I'm going to have one subdomain. If I'm doing a real estate shoot, it's going to be a different subdomain. It's a really nice option. You can set a preview image for when sharing to Facebook. So right now, when you share to Facebook, it's going to show this. But you can add something a little more branded if you'd like. That's pretty much it. Very nice features. Next section is this floor plan feature. What you can do is you can create a floor plan in a separate service. You do not create. CloudPano does not create a floor plan for you. You can add a floor plan, and I happen to have one that I created through Kubicasa. I'm going to go ahead and upload that. This is just an unfinished basement, so it's nothing impressive. I'm going to go ahead and add this. And it's very easy to use. You can just simply click anywhere on the image, save it, and just select the spot that's supposed to populate when you click on that. Very simple. So what that looks like when a client goes to preview this, they're going to see a little floor plan icon down here in the bottom. They can click on that and select the image that they want to see. There you go. Very nice feature. I really enjoy this. Lead gen, this is if you want to turn on a lead capture form. It's really just an email address and a message that they can enter. I don't really use that very often. Settings, again, you can choose where you want this to publish. You can enter a Google Analytics ID. One thing I didn't show you on the dashboard, and I'll go back to that, is at a glance, it shows you how many views you've had, which is very nice because just at a glance, you can see how many people have actually viewed it. Very nice feature. With Google Analytics, though, you can see more details, how long they were there, where they came from, what the flow was as they were in there. It's really nice. You can also change, you can add soundscapes if you want to. So if you're doing a commercial project at a library, you can add a library sound if you want. Enable thumbnail ribbons on tour view. That's basically if you want the thumbnails to show up on the bottom, you enable that. That's there by default, which makes sense. You can start with that ribbon minimized, so it's shrunk. So what that looks like is if you go like this, hit preview, it'll be hidden, but you can always raise it just by clicking that. Really nice. So I'm going to turn that off for now. Play sounds when clicking hotspot. I actually do usually turn this on because it makes a nice, pleasant sound when you click on one of those hotspots, or when you hover over one of those hotspots. So I actually really like that little sound it makes. Display tour's Tiny Planet. I don't ever do this. It's more of a toy in my opinion. I'm not sure what the benefit of that is yet. I haven't used it. Lock horizontal view. That's if you don't want them to be able to look up or down. You just want them to be able to spin around. You can do that. You can auto rotate scene on tour viewer. So by default, it'll move very slowly by itself and rotate on its own. You can disable that if you'd like to. You can also do auto hotspots when clicking on a scene. I always do that because I like the way it looks when there's a clean screen. Now, you're going to see them all pop up there, but if you click on the tour anywhere, it'll make them disappear, which is a really nice little touch that I like. Just because I just want to be able to see it kind of a clean layout. The other feature is this live feature. Now, I personally have not used this, but I've seen demos, and it's really nice, especially for real estate and in a time of COVID when people aren't necessarily doing as many in-person home tours. This is essentially a FaceTime feature or a Zoom feature, if you will, that's built into CloudPano. So the agent can call one of their potential buyers, do a live walkthrough on CloudPano while they're at the listing. It's really cool. Definitely check it out. And this team option, I hinted at this a little bit later. If you've got a team set up where you have other people collaborating on this with you, you can add them to this and they can collaborate on this project with you. So when you're all finished, all you need to do is just hit publish, and you'll be all set. But you do have a couple other options. You can publish now as a hosted tour, or you can download and host on your own server. So what this is if you want, so let's say you do a commercial client, like I did a community college, for example. In fact, if you want to see a video on that, stick around until the end. But if you click on this, it'll download the files that you need to actually host this on your own server. So it'll be just all the image files and the coding files and all that stuff that I don't know anything about. You simply just upload those to your server and it will play just like they play on CloudPano. It's really nice. So if I go ahead and hit publish, this is what you'll get. You'll have a direct link. You can show MLS compliant links, which will basically just be unbranded. You can do an embed code, so they can just embed it into their own website, wherever they're at, whatever service they're using. So when I did this apartment complex, they wanted the embed codes because they wanted to be able to embed it in their website for each apartment style. Share it on social media, the normal stuff. The one thing I'll tell you is you want to make sure that you hit exit on this screen. If you stay in that screen, that preview page saying that it's published will still show up on the preview. So when you're done, hit exit on that screen to make sure it doesn't pop up. Now, as you can see, CloudPano is intuitive, it's easy to use, but there's also the whole element of like, how do you sell these? And why would you use CloudPano versus other platforms? There are other great platforms out there, but I landed on CloudPano for several reasons. Ease of use, intuitive, ease of use is the main thing. It's also just a nice presentation, nice clean images. I actually made another video with my sales partner who I brought on to sell these things for me. And we actually talked for about 40 minutes or so on how we sold an $8,000 sale plus $250 a month hosting to a local business. And if you want to watch that conversation, you can click on one of the boxes that just popped up right here. And he talks a lot about the mindset around sales, how he sold those over Matterport and over a 3D Vista tour. If you want to check out CloudPano, use one of the links in the description. It'll help me out. Otherwise, you guys have an awesome day. Let me know if you have any questions.